And 3 members of an international pangolin skills trafficking syndicate have been arrested. We're told that the arrest followed the seizure of 400 kilograms of pangolin skills valued at $1.2 million in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, with Ghana as the destination of the shipment. The pangolin remains the most trafficked mammal in the world, according to the World Wildlife Fund. And in some good news for businesses, government has selected 80 distressed but viable companies to benefit from its $100 million stimulus package. Deputy Trade and Industry Minister Robert Ahomka Lindsay, who made it known, said its implementation schedule is being finalized. So 80 of those companies, distressed companies, will get that. And finally, on the international front, counting of votes is underway in Rwanda in the presidential election. Polls closed at 3 p.m. local time. Reports say turnout was more than 80 or 90%. More than 90 of them turned out to cast their ballots. And of course, our viewers across the country, if you're watching us from Wa in the Upper West region, if you're watching us from Tumu in the Upper West region, again, if you are with us from Cape Coast in the Central region, grateful for your time tonight. This is News at 10. Let's start with a big one. First, the president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Asesini, says the bank has a $3 billion financing facility for women. In an exclusive interview with our reporter Ebenezer Jekumbuating, he asked President Akufo-Addo to play a facilitating role in accessing the fund.
Low level of entrepreneurship in most African countries has been blamed on lack of access to credit. Even when credit is accessible, its high cost is a disincentive. While access to credit can open up economic opportunities, women entrepreneurs are woefully underserved. The president of the African Development Bank hinted the bank has a credit facility Ghana can access for women.
If I come to a country like this, I got to be a bit selfish as well, because I've got to tap into the tremendous amount of credibility and the voice and the respect that President Akufo-Addo's leadership brings to Africa on the issues. So I did ask the president to play a leadership role on 2 critical things for Africa. One, of course, is regard to the issue of women, financing women. We have a facility at the bank that we've developed called Affirmative Finance Action for Women to leverage $3 billion for women in Africa. I asked the president to be a champion for that. I'm very grateful to him that he's agreed to do that.
He noted public-private partnership investment is key to Ghana's development agenda.
And the second thing that I actually asked him to do for us is his leadership when it comes to the issue of Africa Investment Forum. I was so impressed with the president when he went to Berlin. He gave such a rousing, powerful speech, and I think it's probably because of the speech that Ghana was included among the G20 compact countries. But I think it's very clear about the importance of private sector. It's very clear about the need to improve the general business and investment environment here. And so I've asked him to help us with regard to the Africa Investment Forum that the African Development Bank is actually going to be hosting next year.
Let's speak to the president of the Ghana International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA, Madame Asiedu-Dartey. She just joined me on the phone lines. I'm grateful for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Let's begin from here. $3 billion, that's how much the AFDB has for women. How can women take advantage of this?
That's great news for women. And we are very grateful for the head of African Development Bank for informing the president of this facility. Women in business have been complaining of finances or access to finances for a very long time. So I believe that this is going to be a welcome information for them because it's going to give them the access to finances to improve their businesses they've been asking for.
I see. So, welcoming news, but are women placed in positions to be able to access this?
I really don't think so. But, well, the money is not in, and we don't know exactly how it's going to be distributed. I looked at the NPP manifesto just before we got online, and I realized that there wasn't any definite plan for women in business, except for some access to 50% of the Maslock. And I think we women would need a little bit more than these micro monies coming their way. 3 million, of course, is a lot of money, but from what I heard, it's for the whole of Africa. So that means we'll just be getting a chunk of it in Ghana. But I believe that if the government has a number of initiatives like the One District, One Factory, we would want to see women who would be propped up to get to that stage. I think that's where women would want to be. We want to go beyond the micro, the Maslock kind of funding, to major funding where women businesses are supported to compete with the large businesses in the country. We would also want to see the education sector to promote it where women would do quite well, especially the STEM subjects, where women, girls especially, would be supported, given scholarships to engage in the STEM subjects. And we also know that math has always been a major problem for girls in most of the primary and secondary schools. I think it's about time we investigated to get to know exactly what the issues are. I think these things would help address the women in entrepreneurship.
All right. I'm grateful for your time tonight. Asiedu-Dartey is the president of the Ghana International Federation of Women Lawyers, talking to me. $3 billion credit facility from the African Development Bank. Now, let's move on. Votes, just about gone past 12 midnight in Kigali, Rwanda. We're told that votes are being counted and possibly some of the results are beginning to come in. The incumbent Paul Kagame is expected to be given a third term in office, and the challengers are also hopeful of making an impact on the elections there. Just some few hours ago, there were talk of the opposition complaining of intimidation. The report coming in indicating that the elections were free and fair, largely free and fair, and counting is underway. The first results are expected in a few hours from now. And don't forget that Rwanda is going to this election hopeful of sustaining a democracy that has indeed brought development to its people after that terrible war in that part of the world. Paul Kagame is said to have led that country into the success they're achieving now. Let's quickly go to Kigali. James Friday is a journalist with in Rwanda. He's just joined me on the phone line. James, grateful for your time tonight. Let's start from here. Any of the votes out already, the results?
Yes, thank you so much for having me at TV3. Yes, there have been preliminary results, provisional results that have been released by the National Electoral Commission, and so far they are at 40%. 40% of the provisional results. And as it stands, RPF Ingoteni candidate, His Excellency Paul Kagame, is leading with above 97% of the votes. And Democratic Green Party, Dr. Frank Habineza, has him and Philippe Maimana, the independent candidate, have around 1% to 1.5% averagely on the provision results, which are now at 40%. So that's the results that are there for now. Tomorrow at around 5 p.m. Kigali time, the full report of the provisional results will be announced by the National Electoral Commission. That's how it stands for now.
I see. For 97% out of the 40% so far declared, it suggests that the incumbent is on his way to a third term in office. Is that how you see it?
That's how it is, and as you can tell from in Kigali, it feels like it's already done. Only even at 40% of the provisional results, it feels like RPF Ingoteni candidate, His Excellency Paul Kagame, is winning the elections.
I see. You said around 5 p.m. tomorrow. Would that be the time for official announcement of the final vote?
Not exactly. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Kigali time is going to be a full result, the full report of the provisional results. But the announcement of the official announcement of what came out of the elections and voting process will be announced 2 weeks later. But the provisional results will basically announce who provisionally has been elected president of the Republic of Rwanda.
12 midnight pass in Kigali. Do you see jubilation by the Mr. Kagame's supporters already?
That's a quite interesting question, and the answer is yes, absolutely. There's a lot of anticipation. There was anticipation starting from 8 p.m. when the momentum was building up of the announcement of the provisional results, and we had the Green Party candidate, Dr. Frank Habineza, stationed at a certain hotel where he was following on Rwanda Television, which is a public broadcaster, how the results of the elections are going through. And we also had the independent candidate Philippe Maimana at a certain bar where he was also following live television to learn of the results of the provisional results of the elections. And of course, RPF candidate Paul Kagame was also at the headquarters of RPF Ingoteni at some location in the heart of Kigali. They were all they had big numbers of people following alongside the candidates to learn of the provisional results and how they're coming in. And that's just Kigali. Now, elsewhere around the country in different districts, Rwanda has 30 districts. Now, in those 30 districts, there are stations where citizens are following the television live as they follow the provisional results that are being announced by the National Electoral Commission. So there's a lot of jubilation, there's a lot of anticipation, and you can always feel like at the end of the day, people will sleep probably at 3 in the morning, and many can't wait what is going to be announced by tomorrow at 5 p.m. There's a lot of excitement in the air, learning that their vote is being counted and counting for something. There's a lot of a spirit of positivity and excitement and jubilation across the country. And it's only beginning.
James, there was some complaints from the opposition of intimidation. How would you describe the conduct of the voting process?
The voting is one day, and today, as I mentioned earlier, it has not projected in any sense of intimidation or chaos or obstruction in any sense. What happened was incidences that happened in the past at the beginning of the campaigns, where some candidates were obstructed by local authorities or in one way or the other, and those local authorities were brought to justice, they were interrogated by the police to get to learn of the reasons why they did what they did, and they had to be answerable to authorities. And that was an incident, and there were like about 2 or 3 incidences that happened like that, and the culprits were brought to authority, and they had to be answerable. And after that, there hasn't been any case where any candidate was obstructed in any way. As campaigns went on until today, or at the day of elections, there has been a lot of positivity, and where the opposition, I'm saying the independent candidate and also the Green Party candidate, they had a lot of following of citizens following through and learning of what they have to do for the Rwandans once they are elected, presenting their manifesto to the citizens and all that. So basically, that was an incident. It was very situational, but coming towards the election day, there has been a lot of positivity and a lot of encouragement even onto the opposition parties.
James, I'm grateful for your time tonight with us. James Friday is a journalist in Kigali, Rwanda, there, talking to me now. The Rwandan elections are on, votes being counted, some results are in an election that is expected to see incumbent Paul Kagame expected to win his 3rd term in office. This is News at 10. We're taking a break now. When we come back, we'll tell you some more stories on the local front. Stay with us. We're back in a moment. The Chief Executive Officer of the Institute of Green Growth Solutions, Dr. Eric Chum, is advocating proper monitoring and evaluation mechanisms as government rolls out alternative livelihood programs for persons previously engaged in illegal mining. The Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, in his media budget review, stated government will create over 500,000 job opportunities for illegal miners.
Job opportunities for those previously engaged in illegal mining will be on oil palm plantations and regulated small-scale mining under a 5-year multilateral mining integration project, MMIP. CEO of the Institute of Green Growth Solutions, Dr. Eric Chum, has lauded the project as about 1 million people are involved in illegality. He indicated money is the motivating factor, hence the project should be well thought out and well implemented.
Permanent jobs, are they skilled or unskilled jobs? All these need to be looked at in perspective. Alternative livelihood programs has its own drawbacks, and we need to look at it in a very, very holistic manner, because we need to start with reclamation of lands. For reclamation, we have to look at the issue of the skilled and unskilled jobs.
He argued governments cannot match the money the illegal miners were earning, but the intervention should be sustainable.
We know that this country is not broke. There are the resources available internally to even do this. We have our international partners who are also willing to help us succeed in this. The 500,000 jobs is a target which is doable, provided we have an effective monitoring and evaluation in place.
At least 1.5% of Ghana's land surface of 228,000 square kilometers have been destroyed through irresponsible mining. 225,000 cities would be required to reclaim a hectare of the land destroyed by illegal mining activities across the country. According to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Peter Amewu, Ghana needs in excess of 20 billion cedis to reclaim land surface damaged by years of illegal mining activities.
The Institute of Marketing Ghana has introduced 2 new awards in the areas of non-banking and telecommunication support. At the media launch of the 28th CIMG Awards, the Vice President of the Institute, Daniel Kasati, explained the new awards are some of the innovations to keep the award scheme relevant.
The Chartered Institute of Marketing Awards was established in 1989 to honor outstanding organizations and individuals. The non-banking awards now has 3 categories and the introduction of Telecom Company of the Year award in Allied and Support Services. Daniel Kasati is the Vice President of the Chartered Institute of Marketing, Ghana.
Non-bank financial institution award now has 3 categories. We have the Finance Company of the Year award, Savings and Loans Company of the Year award, and Microfinance Company of the Year award. We shall continue to make such inputs and regular reviews in order to always bring life and excitement to the CIMG awards, since this is the surest way to keeping our awards relevant at all times.
The marketing profession is a key stakeholder in shaping and preserving the destiny of the country for the next generation. The president of CIMG, Kojo Mata, urged corporate organizations to adopt policies and practices that will bring to bear on society the desired impact.
The motive is to encourage them to render better and quality services to their customers. And without good services or quality customer care, we do not think companies will be able to thrive and make more money. These days, services sectors contribute a lot to GDP. So if it is declining as a result of an increase in the other sectors, fine. But if it is declining just because of poor quality service, I think it is not a good thing to happen to us.
Media Marketing Monitoring Services and Nielsen Group Ghana are the research agencies for the award scheme.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has joined the people of Salt Pond at the Wesley Methodist Church in the Central Region to mark the 70th anniversary of the United Gold Coast Convention with a Thanksgiving service.
President Akufo-Addo was accompanied by some cabinet members, members of parliament, the leadership of the New Patriotic Party to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the United Gold Coast Convention, UGCC, with a memorial Thanksgiving service. Preaching the sermon, presiding bishop of the Methodist Church, Most Reverend Asante Entry, appealed to the invisible forces in the MPP to cease fire and support the president execute the mandate of the people. He again called on Ghanaians to support the policies of government to improve living conditions.
Those who are kicking against the new educational reform, but for education, they wouldn't have been able even to read and understand. Why should they kick against it?
Right, we're grateful for watching that. Reverend Asante Entry is not a presiding bishop of the Methodist Church, a former bishop of the church there. We're grateful for your time, those of you who listen to us on 3FM, those of you who watched us on TV3. We're so grateful, and of course to my guys in here, Mando, James Tete, Ben Mensa, Albert Mensa, Joseph Amoncho, and all those who did the great technical work. My studio director was Richard Bruce Lamptey. The whole show was put together by Ebenezer Ejekumbuati. My name is Bright Nananfo. Have a great night, but stay right here on TV3. Good night.